All right, guys, we're going to get started. It is time for our Monday night empowerment session where we are going to learn more about how to support your health foundation. And we're actually going to specifically look at targeting your foundation and starting with your foundation. And we're going to do that through education so that people can better know how to take charge of their health. And we have a fantastic, absolutely spot on testimony that I want to start with. And let's hear about what this woman has to say about how adaptogens have impacted her health.
Hello, thanks Valerie for asking me to help out with the testimony again. My foundation of health, that is a big one for me and one that I try to share with everybody. I approach this with the presence of being faithful, consistent. This is my daily regimen. This is my life. When I started 8.5 years ago, it was life-changing, and everybody gets excited when it's life-changing and things happen. But you know what? It impacted me in such a way that I was barely existing. So let's fast forward to the last 5 years, things I couldn't see coming. You know, I blipped out, fell down the stairs, and chipped a bone and herniated disc. Some of you know that. But during that, you have to go through protocol, you have physical therapy, you have certain criteria you have to meet for them to repair that. That's just the way it is with insurance. And so by the third epidural, he had gone in from the side to try to get a different angle, and he hit something. I was in tears. It was very painful. It scared him. He says, I don't know what this is, but we can't continue. So we pulled out, stopped, and I was pushed through, consulted the doctor, had to have that lymph node removed, the larger of the two sides, so they chose the left. When he got in there, it was on my anterior jugular. You can't root around in there and not have some repercussions, so he tied off a bleeder. Don't know if that affected my ferritin. It may have. It's something I've always dealt with lifelong. But worse than that, you know, when they removed it, they sent it off to Mayo. It was ugly, and he was very uncertain that it would be cleared. So I was pushed through to the oncologist, and that in itself is very scary. It is what it is. So you go through, you meet the oncologist, you go through the testing, the PET scan, and I really, because I'm high anxiety by nature, I did very well and was pretty much at peace. I just felt like it wasn't my story. So did Soul in that foundation of health help me through that? Absolutely. It was everything that helped me move through that stressor or stressors. And so, you know, with that fall, I still had a lumbar herniated disc, and I knew things might have to shift, but I was really trying very, very hard not to have that one repaired because it would have been my second one at that level. Through all this, I did not take narcotics or pain meds. I handled it with Soul Naturals and that foundation. Of course, you add some other things with that soul related for me, and I did fine. Not everybody can do that, and I don't expect them to, but I love when they can use that foundation to help them through those stressors. And life is going to happen. How are you going to deal with it? I choose my Soul Naturals blends of adaptogens because of the purity and what they have brought to my life. I hope that helps somebody. Have a great day.
And this is perfect and spot on. And I have known this woman. Many of you know that I had a shop for 22 years, and she was a customer from day one. And then to watch the change for her once we added in the foundation of the Soul Natural products. In particular, we started with what a lot of you are familiar with called the Bella Health Program, but just outstanding, life-changing, helped her to navigate stuff. And this is why I felt this was so important to talk about this. So what does it look like when you take a foundational approach? Those of you who have been joining me on Monday nights know that I referenced the tree as my example for what a good foundation should look like. But let's break that down a little bit into simple terms. And let's look at it from the tree's point of view. The more fortified the roots are, the more resilient the tree will be. Otherwise, the more balanced and just general strengthening everything from across the board, the better the tree will be able to weather what comes its way. And we're going to talk a lot about the weather we're dealing with now as we're in this crazy cold snap with 30 degrees below zero that we had up until a couple hours ago, the snow. And so the trees that have got this great fortification of their root system, they're being able to handle the snow, the wind, the cold, all of it. Also, the more evenly distributed the roots are, the more secure that tree. If you have the roots that are just growing on one side of the tree, we get a good wind coming from the opposite direction. What's going to happen? The tree is going to topple. So it's very important that a good foundational approach is evenly distributed. Also, your roots will always need water, nutrients, and microbes, just like us. Good foundation always needs that support. The roots are impacted by genetics, environment, life experiences, toxins, and all of these will affect the health expression. Otherwise, how beautiful that tree is, how tall, how strong, how flush it is with beautiful green leaves. All of these things are impacted by that. And finally, it takes time. A tree can't grow to maturity overnight. Yes, we as people get impatient. We want our answers and our results now. And we're a type of a society that's come to expect that. When we're talking and looking at taking a foundational approach, time is something that has to be factored in. So, adaptogens. Let's think of this like this road. And I've seen a lot of roads like this in life, potholes. Now, if you are going to drive on this road, you either need to be really good to navigate in between every other pothole that's there, or you need an excellent set of shock absorbers on your vehicle so that you can go and down and travel down this road without slamming into the ceiling or the roof of the vehicle, bottoming out, any of that. Yeah, the road is still going to have some bumps, but it is going to be traversed much more easily, much less stressfully. Well, this is kind of like life. This is kind of like last year. This is kind of like today. Life throws things at us that are unexpected. We can look at that as potholes. We can look at it and we can just sit here and look at the road, or we can use adaptogens and better to more successfully and easily navigate the road that's in front of us. A simpler way to put is they're going to help to normalize the body. Otherwise, it's not going to make the potholes disappear. It's not going to make the stresses disappear, but it's going to help make it less of an impact and less of an event in life so that we can go down the road, still enjoy some of the scenery, and more importantly, make it to our destination. Now, how does this all translate? These are the type of things that I hear from people after being on a foundational program with the adaptogens from Soul. I hardly get sick now. And no, that does not happen overnight. Remember, we said it, a tree does not grow overnight. I sleep so much more soundly. I would not have made it through 2020 without these products. That one, hands down, is one of the most common things I'm hearing right now. My brain is firing on all cylinders again. I no longer get overwhelmed by the little things. I just feel happy. My pain is a thing of the past. I'm able to enjoy being a mom again. That one, of course, being a mom, that one really resonates with me. This is another huge one. I take fewer supplements and get more results than I ever have. That is a huge part of my story. I used to take handfuls, and by handfuls, I mean 100 supplements 3 times a day, just to run at the level that I wanted to get things done in life, because it took more for me to get the results. And even then, I wasn't running at the level I wanted to, but I was getting things done. What I found, and a great example would be with the good fats. I used to take the highest quality omega-3 that I could find, but because I couldn't break it down, I also took equal amount, which was 16. So 16 omega-3 along with 16 lipase enzymes, just to break it down, to be able to teach my seminars, do all my consulting, feed and fuel this photographic memory that I have, being able to sleep at night so my brain would shut down. Once we got Soul, I started off with taking 4 of the Soul Megas twice a day and no enzymes to break those down. So that right there, I went from 32 capsules down to 8. That was a win. Now, fast forward, as I've stayed on and continually use these products, what has happened is I now am able to, well, I went to 2 omega-3 or the Soul Megas twice a day. And now I use 1 scoop of infatuate in the morning and I do 1 Soul Mega in the evening. Guys, that is major. That's huge. I get more results, better results than I ever did. So fewer supplements are required. Did it happen overnight? No. Did it require consistency? Absolutely. Was it worth it? You better believe it. And there's so many more stories and how this all translates. So what it looks like to be on a foundation for a while and what the end results are just incredible. Now, this is a great story from Tammy Peterson. She was talking about basically, she says, in every way, I was a mess when I found Soul 7.5 years ago. She says, every way, chronically ill, physically and emotionally. She said she would get sick once every couple of months. It was chronic and it had been that way for decades, which of course, she ended up with depression and anxiety as a result. She says, since Soul, life has given her lemons from time to time, and it's not bump free, remember, like those potholes. But the tools she has now have given her such a foundation to build on that whatever comes her way, whether it's allergy season, flu season, gut health, teenager angst, or 50 plus hormonal changes, or even just needing extra emotional energy because 2020 was hard. She says, Soul has given her and her family the foundation and tools to build on and address whatever fastball has thrown her way. Says the combinations have helped her health so much she could never put into words the changes she has seen. This is incredible. And she started back in the time point when, about a year and a half after I did, when we still had these basic products that I use for virtually every person when they start their Soul program. I look at it as a foundational approach because of the results that I've seen. Yes, we may add in some other combinations, but all those other combinations are not necessary to start the ball rolling and get the changes starting to happen. So those products look like this. There's 5 of them, and they are the building blocks. So we start with Soul Vital. Soul Vital has got these abilities, and it's so hard to limit it to just 5. You've got the 6 adaptogens in there. They're going to help the body with balancing it in energy and recovery. You've got the chlorophyll in it, so it's with alkalizing and detoxing. And then you've got the plants that are high in minerals that also work with alkalizing and recovering and energy as well, because it helps to work as a catalyst to fire up your enzymes for digestion. We have our cinnamate, which is a favorite because it works so well with cravings and helping to balance blood sugar. When you have your blood sugar balanced, your brain fires better. You make better decisions. Your brain just focuses and you can get things done. You have energy and your digestion, because of the elements of the digestive tract that are being balanced here for your blood sugar, work. And it works so much better that you're getting more benefits from the food that you're eating. And then immune enhancing. Now we have to remember adaptogens are going to balance and they're immunomodulatory. So no matter what, don't be afraid. If you have an overactive immune system, it's going to scale it back and basically enhance it so it works more ideal. And then our ProBio IQ. We have a unique compilation of bacteria in here, probiotics that help and are designed to address the mood. And these ones specifically help address mood and the memory. They have that connection so that when your gut is happy and healthy, you will feel better, you will think better, you will be happier. You will have better gut motility and peristaltic action in the in the intestine, large intestine, so that GI tract moves through like it should. And then your immunity. Good bacteria helps to challenge invading bacteria and viruses. And then regularity, very important. When the colon's moving, you will feel better. You won't have, as they call that, stinking thinking. And then our other 2 items are, we have the Virozymes. Because the way this product is built, and it happens to be in what we call the calming category, it is also working to help calm that digestive tract. Well, it also helps to calm areas of the body that are overwhelmed, whether that's tying in with brain fatigue or pain. It works on renewing your system because you're working on breaking down other toxins, helping the cells to build correctly. It's soothing because it's some of the calming herbs that are in there are just so much gentler on the system. And through enhancing and supporting, whether it's enhancing better sleep, enhancing digestion, and just supporting overall well being. And a lot of people don't know that when you're younger and still a teenager, your enzymes are strong enough to strip the paint off of a car. As we age, those enzymes get less and less potent that we produce on our own, which is why you see so many digestive challenges and why a lot of people have aging issues, as they call it. They're just like, oh, it's part of getting old. Well, actually, part of it is actually because you can't break down and get the full benefits out of your food. Virozyme is outstanding at that. But also, when you take it on an empty stomach before bed or anytime on an empty stomach, it also helps to break down toxins that are in the system that could go on to create other issues. And finally, our newest formula that is such a game changer and works at such a deep level that it is something that I'm adding to all my clients when they start, because vitamin D is absolutely imperative for so many different aspects of our health. In general, you could look at it helping to modulate the immune system, bones and joints, helping to work with pain with that. We've gotten so many people that have noticed within a couple of days of taking it that their bones and joints aren't hurting as much. Their mental outlook, they're being able to focus, and they're being able to just feel happier. We have this packed with great plants like alfalfa and plantain, goji, that are just nutritionally dense, that it is going to bring in a great added boost to your daily nutrition. And then several of the plants in there have an affinity for the respiratory tract. So these are the items that I look at as these building blocks, as that foundation to help address what comes our way. Now, keep in mind, and it's not uncommon, I will have people make lists of all the issues and symptoms that they're having. And it's easily often 10, 15, 20, 30 or more. Well, it is not about sending a person out with 30 different supplements if they have 30 different issues. It's about using the least amount to get the most benefit. So I've always been about addressing that foundation, having people look at that and use it for 60 to 90 days, preferably 90 days, and then going back and looking at that list and seeing how many of those issues have fallen off. Often they will find 2/3 that or more that have fallen off. Then we can look at addressing the few issues that remain. Again, less is more, and Soul absolutely delivers on this. So I asked Rachel to share a little bit about how adaptogenic formulas have impacted her health foundation.
Hello, my name is Rachel Moore, and I just wanted to share quickly how much the adaptogens from Soul Naturals have helped me and my family. I was introduced to them about 5 years ago, and ever since I started taking them every day, I've noticed an improvement in my overall mental and physical health. I sleep better, I have more energy, I'm less anxious and depressed, and I just have a better immune system. I don't get sick as often, and I don't suffer from allergies anymore. And so I hope that I will always have adaptogens in my life, because I feel like it has given me the foundation that I need to deal with whatever stress and whatever life throws at you, because we live in a very stressful world with a lot of problems, mental and physical, and I'm not plagued with some of the same problems that people have to deal with, because I've been taking these adaptogens every day. And so I'm just very grateful and appreciative to have them in my life, and hopefully my message will reach someone who is struggling like I was, and will move you to want to reach out to get help that you need, because you can get better.
So now notice how she shared that some of these different issues that no longer plagued her. That's what I'm talking about. The consistent usage of these basic products and how some these things like allergies and maybe other digestive challenges and so much more starts to fall away. So now I've asked Greg if he would share some information about the Soul Naturals foundational concept. When he came up with this idea, what did it look like for him? So, Greg, do you need the me to stop the sharing and give it?
No, that I don't have any slides today, Valerie, so we're good. And I just want to thank you for inviting me again. I am having a hard time not smiling, listening to everything I've heard today, because the first thing I want to say when I talk about that foundational concept is that that is the way from the beginning soul was meant to be used. The foundational approach was and is the way soul is meant to be used. So I just love the whole part about roots and the road with potholes is life. That's a great analogy. And adaptogens, with soul, we tried to make them our shock absorbers because that's exactly what they do. They lessen the impact of things. But I think when I look at the foundational concept, here's how I see it. Just listening to Valerie, and I could listen to Valerie every night. In fact, honestly, when you get done with this, Valerie, I know you record it. If you're sharing soul, this is a great thing to watch like once a month, or just because it just cements to me the reasons that the best approach, the very best, because there are a lot of good ways that you can share soul. We, like Valerie said, we try to balance every single product, and they are balanced. There are adaptogens in every product, and they're meant to be that way so that even if a person is just going to dabble, they just want one shock absorber, they're going to leave the other three for their other three tires the way they are and just work on one. And that's okay, because in that one area, if they sit over there, it won't hurt so much. And I'm okay with that, because we're all different how we want to jump into it. But this complete foundational approach is the way soul was meant, always was. The way soul was meant to be shared and used, both used for ourselves and shared for others. And this is how I look at foundation. To me, I boil it down to how our body creates energy, which is needed to do everything that our body does, and how our body defends itself. How it creates energy and how it defends itself. And like, defending isn't just like the immune, the invaders, it's what Valerie was talking about, what Shauna was talking about, what Tammy said, what Rachel, it's also the stressors, because they're the same. To me, they're the same as the physical stressors, because they cause the same chemicals and the same imbalances. So to me, I just love the whole thought process of a foundational approach, because to me, it's the silent wind. It's out there feeding the roots, and it's not necessarily something where I don't know, I'm taking something that dries up the mucus that I keep, that keeps running out of my nose, or whatever the thing is that I'm working on. Even though you do feel those while you start with soul products, it's the much more powerful way. It's working on the roots. And I would just recommend, and I don't really need to say this here because it's taught every week, but if anyone might be listening to this the first time, I'd recommend giving that serious thought to how you do your foundational nutrition every day. I love what Shauna said. And I know Tammy does the same kind of thing. It's not that we always take the same products. We're rotating and we're listening to the body, but we're always taking the full balanced. Think of the 4 colors of soul: the green, red, yellow, and blue. Balance, calm, lift, and clarify. I think I said those out of order. But that was for a reason, to simplify it for all of us, myself included, and helping to keep balance in my foundation. They're really thoughtfully put together, the formulas. They're placed very thoughtfully in a category. I love that Valerie's added longevity to Bella Health, because there's a place for it. It will make a big difference. It's extremely foundational. And so those are some of my thoughts. How do we create energy on a daily basis, and how does our body defend itself? If we'll always give attention, nutritional attention to that, then all of our other efforts are more successful, I believe. And then we can have the results Valerie's talking about. We can use less supplements overall. You know, we're always using some because that's where we find the vital nutrients that aren't going to be in the foods, in the rest of the foods. But it's going to be a lot less than what we'd have to do if we sort of use the, I don't know what would you call the other approach, Valerie? The
Symptomatic approach.
Thank you. The symptomatic approach, which we can find answers there for sure, but we really shortchange ourselves. And actually, it's a much more expensive approach. The symptomatic foundational, that's the final point I wanted to add with. Thanks, Valerie. Actually, the cheapest approach to health by any measure is to give attention to the foundational nutrition. And any place in our life where we spend money on health is actually going to be better because we keep that focus.
Perfect. Great. I love it. And I thought of something when Greg was talking to the importance of, because there always will be those stressors in life. And a lot of people are not aware that the adrenals cannot tell the difference in the type of stress you have. They are going to respond. And we are bombarded so much as a society today that our adrenals get tapped out and we just get harder and have more and more of a challenge to respond. And I believe with the adaptogens being in all our products, that is what is helping us to actually start to overcome and be more resilient in life. So, all right. So this leads in perfectly to my testimony. And it is very hard to take this testimony down to these few words, because many of you who've been following know that this testimony, I can write a whole book with what happened. But basically, and this is true, I can say with complete confidence that had Troy and I not been taking the products in Soul's Bella Health program for the last 8 years, and again, that's the Vital, the Cinemate, the Virozymes, and the ProBio. Had we not been taking, we would not have made it through 2020. Many of you, as you know that Troy became extremely ill January 20th of 2020, and he was given a 1% chance of survival. And that was pretty ominous, guys. The stressors were obviously off the charts. Also, because as we were dealing with this, all of a sudden the world started changing, dealing with COVID. I was working on shifting my storefront, closing the storefront and shifting the business to home. And just life was changing. I believe that the adaptogens in the Soul products made all the difference in literally everything. Troy's recovery was nothing short of a miracle. And for me personally, having brought myself out of complete adrenal exhaustion 30 years ago, I never dreamed I'd be able to navigate a marathon crisis like this. Hands down, I will never be without my adaptogenic formulas for Soul. And I always make certain that I have plenty of extra. And I'm going to tell you, it's hard to determine what plenty is, because I just want to make certain that I never caught without it. It's been that foundational, that much of a game changer. Guys, it's upped the level of our quality of life, and it's upped the level of our game that we can bring to the table. There it is, the Bella Health program, and plus the longevity. And remember, all these things were done with these other products and some of the other Soul products, but those other ones were the ones that Troy and I and these other people started with from the beginning. The longevity we didn't get till within the last month. I cannot even imagine what types of amazing results we're going to see now with adding the longevity into this starting point for so many different people. Building your foundation, strengthening those roots, feeding those roots, helping to build that resilient, beautiful tree, and working at the foundation so that you can better respond to what life throws at you. So looking for a quote, when I found this one, I had to think about this for a minute and realize just what a huge statement this is. And that is that quality is not an act, it is a habit. So guys, we don't get quality of life just from one time doing one thing. It's about creating a habit, whether it's a habit of drinking water every day, a habit of having movement every day, or as like we're talking here, a habit of adding adaptogens in on a daily basis. Consistency, the quality comes from the habit. Next week, we will be talking about anxiety and depression. And of course, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of stories at our fingertips about the results people have gotten in these categories alone. I'm so excited to get to explore that a little bit more in depth and hear the amazing things and results that people have had with Soul. I hope that you will join us.